Good morning, everyone. Hi, children. How are you? Right? Hoping you all are fine. Okay. 3 lessons completed. Okay. Today we are going to start the 4th unit. Okay. Side by side, you go through. Okay. Book back la irukkudiya all the choose the correct answer. Okay. And all the answer the following questions. And okay, answer the following questions. 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks will be there. Okay, so regularly 3 units completed, so each and every unit book back question. Okay, you mark it and study daily. Okay, children, because we are not going to see you directly nowadays, so you have to study by yourself. Okay, we are having the time to teach you the lessons and giving the homeworks only. Okay, so the book back questions you have to mark by yourself. Okay, I think someone will having the guides. Okay. Okay, you mark it and study well properly. Okay, children, let's start unit 4. Okay, right. Unit 4, that is transition and inner transition elements. Okay, so in this unit we are going to study about the position of D block elements, D block elements and F block elements. Okay, and general trends and properties of elements of 3D series. Okay, and the oxidizing and reducing properties. Okay, the preparation and properties of potassium permanganate and potassium dichromate, and the properties of F block elements. Okay, and what are lanthanides, actinides. Okay, these things we are going to study in this lesson. Okay, Martin Heinrich Klaproth. Okay, he was a German chemist. Okay, who discovered uranium, zirconium, cerium. Okay, he described them as a distinct element. Okay, though he did not obtain them in the pure metallic state, he verified the discoveries of titanium, tellurium, strontium. Okay, so his role is the most significant in systematizing analytical chemistry and mineralogy. Okay, right. He has discovered the elements zirconium, cerium and uranium. Okay, these are the inner transition element. Okay, do you know what is transition and inner transition element? Okay, let me tell you. Okay, let's start this lesson. Okay, now, okay, so we have already learned the periodic classification of element in 11th standard itself. Okay, I'm hoping that you have studied the periodic table in the 11th standard itself. Okay, so the transition metals. Okay, transition metals occupy from group 3 to group 12. Do you understand? Group 3 to group 12 of the modern periodic table, that is the D block. Okay, so D block elements are called transition elements. Okay, and what are inner transition element? F block elements are called inner transition element. Okay, last see that F block, the 2 blocks inner transition element, the 2 blocks, that is F block. Okay, that is still under investigation in laboratories, because the properties of that inner transition element still are under discovery. Okay, so this transition elements are D block elements. Okay, so let us see about it. So generally metallic elements that have incompletely filled, okay, incompletely filled D or incompletely filled F subshell in the neutral or cationic state are called transition metals, transition metals. So this definition includes lanthanoids and actinides. This definition includes lanthanoids and actinides. However, IUPAC is the international organization for this arrangement of periodic elements. So that organization defines that transition metal is an element, okay, whose atom has an incomplete D subshell, okay, incomplete D subshell, or which can give rise to cations with an incomplete D subshell. Okay, so they occupy the central position of the periodic table. They occupy the central position of the periodic table between S and P block elements, and their properties are transitional between highly reactive metals of S block elements and P block elements, so which are mostly non-metals. Okay, so except group 11 element, okay, except group 11 element, all transition metals are hard and are having high melting point. Okay, So from group 3 to group 12, okay, these are transition element except group 11, okay, except group 11, all the metals are very hard and all are having the high melting point, okay, do you understood? So this transition metals, okay, transition metals, iron and copper, okay, they play an important role in the development of human civilization. Do you understood? These transition metals, iron and copper, play an important role in the development of human civilization. Okay. So many other transition elements are also having the important applications such as tungsten in light bulb filaments. Okay. Titanium that is used in the manufacturing artificial joints. Okay. And molybdenum. Molybdenum that is used in boiler plants, okay, platinum in catalysis process, etc. So they play a vital role in living system. So this transition element, okay, this transition elements play a major role. Transition element play a major role in what? Our living system, okay. You understood? So for example, iron, okay, iron in hemoglobin, okay, iron in hemoglobin, cobalt in vitamin B12, etc. Okay, so in this unit, we study the general trend in properties of D block elements with specific reference to 3D series. Okay, their characteristics, chemical reactivity, okay, some important compounds KMNO4 and K2Cr2O7. Okay, so we also discuss the F block elements later in this unit. First of all, we are going to see about the D block elements. Okay, first of all, we are going to see about the D block elements. Okay, right. So this D block elements, okay, this D block elements, see the periodic table. This D block elements are composed of 3D series. Okay, the fourth period. Okay, in the fourth period, from scandium to zinc. Okay, fourth period, scandium to zinc, Sc to Zn. Okay, the scandium to zinc, there are 10 elements. Okay, that are called the 3D series. Okay, and the 4D series are the fifth period, that is yttrium to cadmium, that is Y2Cd. Okay, that yttrium to cadmium, the 10 elements are there. And the 5D series, okay, that is the sixth period, lanthanum. Okay, lanthanum, hafnium to mercury, hafnium to mercury. Okay, lanthanum, hafnium to mercury. Because lanthanum and actinides are under the inner transition, so it is also under that, and also here, so only a gap is given. Okay, right. However, they are treated as transition elements. Okay, right. This cadmium and mercury do not have partially filled d orbital either in their elemental state or in their normal oxidation state. So however, they are treated as transition elements because their properties are an extension of properties of the respective transition elements. So as per the IUPAC definition, the seventh period elements, okay, that is starting from that AC, no, actinides, that rubidium to Cn, okay, belong to the transition metal. So all of them are radioactive. All of them are radioactive. Okay, so except actinium, all the remaining elements are synthetically prepared and have very low half-life periods. Okay, and are having very low half-life periods. Okay, so this is about the D block elements. So let's see about the electronic configurations and all those things, the general trends, their metallic behavior. Okay. See that inner transition elements. Okay, first of all, we have seen about the transition element and what are inner transition elements. So the inner transition elements are rare metals. Okay, that is rare on earth. Okay, right. So the elements which have partially filled, okay, partly filled n-2 f orbitals, that are called the F block elements. So since their inner subshells 4f and 5f are successively filled with electrons, so these electrons are called transition element. These are two series of inner transition elements. So they are lanthanide series, actinide series. So lanthanide series are 4 f block elements, actinide series are 5 f block elements. Okay, in the previous periodic table, the last two, no, the first one is lanthanide series and the last one is the actinide series. Right? Okay, now the metallic nature. Okay, like the lanthanides and actinides, all are metals. Okay, all are metals in nature, and their oxidation state. So unlike lanthanides, the actinides have no character oxidation state. Okay, actinides have no character oxidation state, but lanthanides have oxidation state. The color, okay, actinides cations having unpaired 5f electrons are colored in the solid as well as in aqueous solution. So they are in color form. Okay, next actinide contraction. Okay, like lanthanides, actinides show the phenomenon of actinide contraction. Okay, let us discuss about it in the next classes. Okay, so the magnetic properties, okay, like lanthanides, actinides are also strongly paramagnetic. Okay, these are the properties, okay, of the transition and inner transition. Now let's see about the electronic configuration. Okay, so we have already learned in 11th standard to write the electronic configuration of the elements. Okay, how to write the electronic configuration. Electronic configuration every எழுதலாம். Okay, like that we have learned. Okay, by using the Aufbau principle, Hund's rule. Okay, according to Aufbau principle, what says Aufbau principle says that electron first fills the 4s orbital before the 3d orbital. We understood? 3d orbital ku munnala 4s orbital fill aayidhu. So therefore filling of 3d orbital starts from Sc, that is scandium. Okay, so its electron configuration is Ar 3d power 1 4s power 2, and the electrons of successive elements are progressively filled in 3d orbital, and the filling of 3d orbital is complete in zinc. So whose electronic configuration is Ar 3d power 10 4s power 2. So however there are two exceptions in the above mentioned progressive filling of 3d orbitals. Okay, so if there is a chance of acquiring half filled or fully filled 3d subshell, it is given priority as they are the stable configuration. So the electronic configuration of chromium, copper, okay, are respectively given. Okay, so the extra stability of half filled, okay, and fully filled d orbitals are also explained in 11th standard. So it is due to the symmetrical distribution of electrons and exchange energy. Okay, right, the elements, okay, the elements which the additional electrons enters, okay, additional electrons if enters the f orbitals, that is n-2, they are called the inner transition elements. So the valence shell electronic configuration of these elements can be represented as n-2 into f, okay, and n-1 into d power 0 to 1, and f is 0 to 14. Okay, that is ns2. Next, 4f inner transition metals are known as the lanthanides because they come immediately after lanthanum, and 5f inner transition metals are known as actinoids because they come immediately after actinium. Okay, so with these two exceptions and minor variation in the certain individual cases, the general electronic configuration of d block elements can be written as noble gases. Okay, so if n is equal to 4 to 7, okay, so in periods, okay, in periods 6 and 7, that is except lanthanides and actinides, okay, the configuration includes n-2 into f orbital. For noble gases, n-2 into f power 14, n-1 into d power 1 to 10, ns power 1 to 2. Okay, so these are the electronic configuration. Next, general trends. Okay, the general trends in properties. Okay, first of all, the metallic behavior of the transition metals. Okay, so all the transition elements are metals. I already told you that all the transition metals are fully metal. Okay, a single non-metal is not present there. All are metals. Okay, so similar to all the metals, the transition metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Transition metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. So unlike the metals of group 1 and group 2, all the transition metals except group 11 elements are hard. So of the all known elements, silver has the highest electrical conductivity at room temperature. Silver has the highest electrical conductivity. Okay, so most of the transition elements are hexagonal close packed. Okay, hexagonal close packed and cubic close packed or body centered. Okay, three types of cubic center, hexagonal close packed and body centered shapes are in the transition element. So these are the characteristics of true metals. Okay, so see the picture. So as we move from left to right along the transition metal series, okay, as you are seeing, this is the transition metal series. So okay, from scandium to zinc, okay, that first one HCP means hexagonal closed pack. So HCP means hexagonal and BCC means body centered. body centered. What is hexagonal? Hexagonal means 6 elements. Okay, 6 electrons are making shares. Okay, next cubic means it is in a cubic shape and the all the electrons in the cubic form. Okay, all the sides, okay, all the sides of that cubic shape, it interacts with the other one. Next, body center. Okay, it is in the center of the body. Okay, one cubic center at the center of the body interaction will be there. So that is the, so SC வந்து HCP and TI HCP. So body centered, HCP and FCC, like that. So 3 types of hexagonal close packed, cubic close packed, body centered are the characteristics of true metals. Okay, so as we move from left to right along the transition metal series, melting point first increases. You understood? So as we move from left to right along the transition metal series, melting point increases as the number of unpaired d electrons available for metallic bonding increases, that reaches a maximum value and then decreases as the d electrons pair up and become less available for bonding. So for example, in the first series, the melting point increases from scandium. Okay, from scandium, that is 181.4, so 1814 Kelvin, to maximum of 2183 Kelvin for vanadium. Okay, like that the melting point increases. Melting point increases. So as we move from left to right in the transition metal series, melting point increases. Melting point increases. Right? Metallic bonding increases. Okay. Right. So the maximum melting point at about the middle of transition metal series, that indicates the D5 configuration, that is favorable for strong interatomic interaction. That is favorable for strong interatomic attraction. Okay. So see the picture. This shows the trends in melting points of the transition element. So this is a variation in melting point of 3D series element. Okay. First of all, scandium, titanium, vanadium. Okay, that is going on increasing, then decreasing manganese and iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, like that. Okay, it is increasing and goes on increasing, decreasing, like that. This is a variation of melting point. Okay, so the first series, the melting point increases in scandium. Okay, to vanadium. Okay, up to vanadium it got increases, isn't it? Which is closed to chromium. Okay, in scandium, that is 1814 Kelvin. Okay, in vanadium, that is 2183 Kelvin, and in chromium, that is also close to 2180 Kelvin. So however, manganese in 3D series and TC in 4D series have the low melting point. The maximum melting point at about the middle of transition metal series indicates that D5 configuration is favorable for strong interatomic interaction. Okay. Now let's see about the variation of atomic and ionic size. Variation of atomic and ionic size. Okay, so it is generally expected, okay, a steady decrease in atomic radius along the period as the nuclear charge increases and the extra electrons are added to the same subshell. Okay, because the nuclear charge is increasing across the period. Okay, so the extra electrons will be added to the same subshell. So it is expected that a steady decrease in atomic radius. So, but for the 3D transition element, okay, but for 3D transition elements, the expected decrease in atomic radius is observed from scandium to vanadium. So, thereafter, up to copper, the atomic radius nearly remains the same. So, as we move from scandium to zinc in 3D series, the extra electrons are added to the 3D orbitals. The added 3D electrons only partially shield the increased nuclear charge, and hence the effective nuclear charge increases slightly. So, however, the extra electrons added to the 3D subshell strongly repel the 4s electrons, and these two forces are operated in opposite direction and as they tend to balance each other. So, it leads to a constancy in atomic radii. Leads to the constancy in atomic radii. So, at the end of the series, okay, at the end of the series, d orbitals of zinc, okay, d orbitals of zinc that contains 10 electrons, okay, in which the repulsive interaction between the electrons is more than the effective nuclear charge. So, the orbitals slightly expand and atomic radius increases. Atomic radius increases. Okay, so atomic radius decreases across the period, okay, decreases across the period, but at the end of the series in the d orbitals of zinc that contains the 10 electrons in which the repulsive interaction between the electrons is more than the effective nuclear charge. So the orbitals slightly expand, okay, orbitals will expand and atomic radius will increase. So generally as we move down the group, atomic radius increases. So the same trend is expected in d elements also. So the electrons are added to the 4d subshell. So the atomic radii of the 4d elements are higher than the corresponding element of 3d series, okay. See the picture, okay. Atomic radius of 3d elements is given, atomic radius of 4d elements and atomic radius of 5d elements, okay. So what happens, atomic radius, what happens, it slightly increases and decreases, okay. You draw this picture and explain, okay, that's all. Some children may not be understanding properly, okay, it's not like that more important, okay. You have to write atomic radius increases or decreases. Why it increases? Nuclear charge increase ஆகுது, okay, nuclear charge increase ஆகுது. So extra electron என்ன ஆகும், ஒவ்வொரு சப்ஷெல்லையும் ஒரு extra electron என்ன ஆகுது, add ஆகுது. So அதனால அந்தந்த இடத்துல increase ஆகுது, like that, okay. It is based upon the atomic radius and atomic size, okay, right. So the 5d elements la irukkudiya electrons ku same radius, okay, that is corresponding to the 4d element. 4d element ku 5d element ku same da, okay, kidathada same ah irukum. So this is due to the lanthanide contraction, okay, that is to be discussed later in this unit, okay. In this unit only we will study about later about the lanthanides, okay. Now the variation of ionization energy of 3d series elements, okay. What is ionization energy? You may have studied in 11th standard, okay. It is the energy, okay, for stable configuration, okay. So the ionization energy of transition element is intermediate between those of S and P block element, those of S and P block element. So as we move from left to right in a transition metal series, okay, as we move from left to right in a transition metal series, the ionization enthalpy increases. Ionization enthalpy increases, okay. So this is due to increase in nuclear charge. This is due to increase in nuclear charge that is corresponding to the filling of d electrons. Filling of d electrons. So see the picture. The increase in first ionization enthalpy with increase in atomic number along a particular series is not regular, okay? It is not a regular one. So added electron enters the orbital and inner electron act as a shield and decrease the effect of nuclear charge on valence ns electron. So therefore it leads to variation in the ionization energy value. So the ionization enthalpy values can be used to predict the thermodynamic stability of their compound. So let us compare the ionization of nickel and platinum. So for nickel the ionization energy is 2490, okay, and for platinum it is 2655. So the energy required to form the Ni2 plus, that is less than that of platinum 2 plus. So the nickel compounds are thermodynamically stable than platinum compounds, that's all, okay. Next, oxidation state, okay. Oxidation state, okay. The first transition metal scandium, okay, that exhibits oxidation state +3, okay. But all other transition elements, okay, that exhibit variable oxidation state by losing electrons, okay, from n-1 into d orbital. So ns orbital, as the energy difference between them is very small. So let us consider the 3d series, okay. The following table, oxidation state of 3d series only, okay. At the beginning of the series, +3 oxidation state is stable, okay, but towards the end, +2 oxidation states become stable. So scandium la ஆரம்பிச்சு காப்பர்ல முடியுது. அப்ப ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து +3 தான் ஸ்டேபிளா இருக்கு, லாஸ்ட்ல முடியும்போது +2 ஸ்டேபிள் ஆயிருது. So the number of oxidation state increases with the number of electrons available. So and it decreases as the number of pair electron increase. Do you understood? So number of electrons available பொறுத்து oxidation state increase ஆகுது and then decreases as the number of paired electrons increases. So the first and last elements, okay, that shows the less number of oxidation state, and the middle elements with more number of oxidation states. The first and last element shows less number of oxidation states and the middle elements with more number of oxidation states. So for example, the first element scandium has only one oxidation state, that is +3. The middle element Mn has a 6 different oxidation state, that is +2 to +7. So the last element copper shows +1 and +2 oxidation states only. So the relative stability of different oxidation state of 3D metals is correlated with the extra stability of half-filled and fully filled electronic configuration. Understood. Next, the oxidation state of 4D series and 5D metals that vary from +3 for yttrium and for +8 for rubidium. Okay, the highest oxidation state of 4D and 5D elements are found in their compounds with higher electronegative elements like oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, okay, that will having the highest oxidation states, okay. Now, standard electrode potentials of transition metals, okay, the redox reactions, okay, that involve the transfer of electrons from one reactant to another. So, such reactions are always coupled, so which means that one substance is oxidized, other substance reduced. So, what is redox reaction? In that reaction, reduction also takes place and oxidation also takes place there. So, in that redox reactions of there's a redox reaction that involves the transfer of electrons from one reactant to another. So, such reactions are always coupled, which means that when one substance is oxidized, another must be reduced. Okay, the substance which is oxidized is a reducing agent, and the one which is reduced is an oxidizing agent. Okay, so the oxidizing and reducing power of an element is measured in terms of standard electrode potentials. Okay, the standard electrode potential is the value of the standard EMF of a cell in which molecular hydrogen under pressure and temperature is oxidized to solvated protons at the electrode. Okay, so if the electrode, the standard electrode potential of a metal is large and negative, the metal is a powerful reducing agent because it loses electrons easily. So standard electrode potentials of a few first transition metals are given in the table. So for titanium, minus 1.63, for vanadium 1.19, there is minus chromium minus 0.91, manganese minus 1.18 for iron. Okay, like that it goes on increasing and decreasing. Okay, so in 3D series, as we move from titanium to zinc, the standard reduction potential values is approaching towards less negative value, and copper has a positive reduction potential. Only copper is having 0.34, that is only positive. Okay, all are having negative. So element copper is more stable. Okay, so there are two deviations in the general trend. Okay, so the negative values from titanium, vanadium, chromium that indicate the higher oxidation state. So if you want to reduce such a stable chromium ion, strong reducing agent which has a high negative value for reduction potential like metallic zinc is required. Okay. Now what are the magnetic properties of transition metals? Okay. So most of the compounds of transition elements are paramagnetic. Okay. Much of our understanding of transition metals comes from magnetic data. So paramagnetic, diamagnetic, okay, like that are here, but in transition elements, most of the compounds are paramagnetic. So magnetic properties are related to the electronic configuration of atoms. Okay, so we have already learnt in 11th standard that electron is spinning around its own axis. Have you remember this electron is spinning about its own axis? So in addition to its orbital motion, okay, as it rotate along the orbital motion around the nucleus. So due to these motions, a tiny magnetic field is generated. Okay, a tiny magnetic field is generated and it is measured in terms of a magnetic moment. So on the basis of magnetic properties, okay, materials can be broadly classified as paramagnetic materials, diamagnetic materials. Okay, besides these, there are ferromagnetic and antiferromagnetic materials. Okay, besides this, there are ferromagnetic and antiferromagnetic materials. So materials with no elementary magnetic dipoles are diamagnetic. So in other words, a species with all the paired electrons exhibits diamagnetism. So this kind of materials are repelled by the magnetic field because the presence of external magnetic field, a magnetic induction is introduced to the material. So which generates weak magnetic field that oppose the applied field. So paramagnetic solids having the unpaired electrons possess the magnetic dipoles so which are isolated from one another. Okay, ferromagnetic materials have domain structure. Okay, ferromagnetic is also there. So ferromagnetic materials have a domain structure. Okay, in each domain, magnetic dipoles are arranged. Okay, there is a spin angular momentum, orbital angular momentum. It is having a certain formula, mu equal to n into n plus 1, root of n into n plus 1 into mu b. Okay, that is the spin quantum number. Okay, so transition metal ions is a paramagnetic. Okay, so it having a magnetic dipole moment. So spin angular momentum is the spinning of charges. Okay, that gives rise to magnetic moment. Orbital angular moment is due to the electron spinning around the nucleus. So okay, so this is a good analogy, but it's not a physical reality. Okay, so these are about the magnetic properties of transition metal. Industries that manufacture a number of products. Okay, each and every day very number of products are manufactured in the factories, such as polymers, the flavors, drugs, etc. So most of the manufacturing processes have adverse effect on the environment, so there is an interest for eco-friendly alternatives. So in this context, catalyst based manufacturing processes are advantageous, so as they require low energy, minimize the waste production, and enhance the conversion of reactants to products. So many industrial processes use transition metals or their compounds as catalysts. So transition metal has energetically available d orbitals that can accept electrons from reactant molecule, or metal can form bond with reactant molecule that is using its d electrons. So for example, in the catalytic hydrogenation of alkali, the alkene bonds to an active site by using its pi electrons with an empty d orbital of the catalyst. So in a certain catalytic process, okay, the variable oxidation states of, okay, oxidation state of transition metals, okay, for example, okay, in the manufacture of sulfuric acid, okay, from SO3, okay, vanadium pentoxide is used as a catalyst. So in this reaction, vanadium pentoxide, okay, that is used to reduce vanadium oxide. Okay, for example, there is a propene. Okay, propene is an element reacted with carbon monoxide plus hydrogen, that gives a butanol plus methyl-propanol. So in the preparation of acetic acid from acetaldehyde also, okay, catalysts are used. Okay, the catalyst is used for increasing the performance, okay, to make the reaction faster. Okay, catalyst is used. Okay, that's all about today's class. Okay, children, right. Right, 10 one words. Okay, right, 10 one words from today's class. Okay, and compare what are lanthanides and what are actinoids. Okay, in your book, okay, in your book, page number 123. Okay, what are lanthanoids and actinoids? Okay, the differentiate is very important question. Okay, study well. Okay, study well. That is your homework for study. Okay, don't write it, study well. Okay, study well. And 10 one was ideas homework. Okay, define the transition and inner transition metal. What are transition metals, what are inner transition metals? Okay, draw the periodic table and explain it. Okay, what are the electronic configuration of transition elements? Okay, inner transition element we will see in the next class. Okay, transition element I have taught you today. Okay, you write the electronic configuration of inner transition elements and the metallic behavior, oxidizing character, and ionization enthalpy. Okay, you give a brief about the transition element, what you have understand about the transition elements. Okay, so all those things you write it in your assignment. Okay, define the transition element and inner transition element I have not taught you till, so next class I will taught you the inner transition elements. Okay, right, I have taught you only a brief about the inner transition element, so write only like a 2-mark question, right, inner transition element. But the transition element you have to write as a 5-mark question. Okay, you have to write oxidation state and all those things you have to write. Okay, for transition. And study the lanthanoids and actinoids. It is in your book. Okay, study, very important question, and write 10 one words as a homework. Okay, children, that's all about today's class. Okay, don't waste a single time, study well. Okay, the time is going very fast. Okay, study well, very important days you are come 12th standard is a very important parts of your life. Okay, be very disciplined. Okay, respect your parents, respect your teachers. Okay, don't comment others. Okay, don't hurt others. Okay, because God is seeing you, so God is seeing you every time. Okay, so be very truthful to God and be very respectable to your parents, because your parents are the one who is always thinking about you. Okay, so don't hesitate your parents and don't hesitate your teachers, because they are the two persons who make a lot of effort to reach you a success life. So respect your parents and teachers, and all the above, you should give importance to our Lord Almighty. Okay, every day you pray and concentrate on your studies. Okay, children. Okay, go through it. Okay, go through your book and study well. Okay, all the book back questions. Okay, you mark it from unit 1, 2, 3 and 4th. Okay, up to today which I have taught. Okay, you mark the all the one word questions and answer the following questions. Okay, study well. Okay, don't waste a single time. Very soon your exams will be announced, so you should be very eager to study. Okay, children, don't waste a single time. Have a nice day. Thank you.